I'll never forget the day Derek Mitchell threw my presentation notes into the trash and told me I should stick to data entry because strategic thinking isn't for people like you. He said it in front of 12 colleagues during our Thursday afternoon strategy session at Harrison Marketing Group in downtown Chicago. Everyone saw him crumple 3 weeks of research and toss it like garbage, while explaining why guys from small Midwest towns would never understand sophisticated urban marketing. What Derek didn't know was that my phone was recording in my jacket pocket, and that footage was about to become the most viewed career-ending video in corporate America. My name is Ryan Parker. I'm 28 years old. And this is the story of how 6 months of silent planning became 8 minutes of justice that destroyed my bully's career forever. I should start by telling you that I knew Derek Mitchell was going to be a problem before I even started working at Harrison Marketing. My final interview was in July 2023. I met with the entire team, including Derek, who was already a legend there. VP of Client Services, 7 years with the company, responsible for 40% of revenue. Everyone talked about him like he was untouchable. When we shook hands, Derek looked at my resume and smiled, but his eyes weren't smiling. Indiana University, Derek said, still holding my resume. Business school there. That's nice. Not Northwestern or University of Chicago, but I'm sure you got a solid education. The way he emphasized solid made my stomach turn, like he was already deciding I wasn't good enough. It prepared me well, I said carefully. I'm sure it did, Derek replied, handing back my resume. Small-town perspectives can be valuable sometimes. Keeps us grounded. I knew right then, this guy was going to make my life hell. But the job paid $95,000 a year, and I had $60,000 in student loans. So I took it anyway. My first day was August 14th, 2023. I showed up at 8 in the morning, nervous and excited. By 9:30, Derek had already made his first comment. Nice haircut, Ryan, Derek announced as I was setting up my desk. Very Midwest. Does your barber back in Indiana know about modern styles, or is that cut from like 2005? 3 people at nearby desks heard. They looked uncomfortable, but said nothing. I forced a laugh like it was a joke. It wasn't a joke. That afternoon during my introduction at the team meeting, Derek interrupted me halfway through. Just to clarify what Ryan's saying. Derek cut in as I was explaining my background. He's from a small town in Indiana, went to a state school there, and he's new to big city marketing. But we're excited to teach him how things work in competitive urban markets. He made it sound like I was a charity case, like they were doing me a favor by hiring me. I smiled and nodded, but inside I was already planning. That night I went home and bought a notebook. I started documenting everything. Every comment Derek made, every interaction, date, time, what he said, who witnessed it. I've dealt with bullies before, in high school and college, and I know they escalate. I know they get comfortable. And I know that if you document everything, eventually you have power. The second day, Derek told a new intern to ask someone else for help because I was still learning how things work in real cities. I wrote it down. Day 3, he corrected my coffee order in front of the receptionist, saying I should upgrade to espresso like adults drink. I wrote it down. Day 4, he asked if I needed a map because people from small towns get lost in Chicago. I wrote it down. By the end of the first month, I'd filled an entire notebook, but I still hadn't done anything with it. I was waiting because I knew Derek. I'd studied him. He was arrogant. He was escalating, and eventually he'd do something so bad that I could use it. September brought the first major theft. We were pitching a major automotive client, a contract worth $200,000 annually. I spent 3 weeks developing the entire strategy, consumer research, digital marketing approaches, campaign timeline, everything. It was good work, the best I'd ever done. The morning of the pitch, Derek called me into his office. Ryan, change of plans for today, Derek said casually. I'm going to lead the presentation to the client. You'll sit in and handle any technical questions at the end. But I developed the entire strategy, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And I appreciate that, Derek said, not looking up from his laptop. But these are sophisticated executives. They need polish, confidence, experience. That's not your strength yet. I'm not saying you did bad work. I'm saying you're not ready to present it. That's why I'm here. To elevate it. He took my presentation, every slide, every insight, every piece of research, presented it to the client as his own work. They loved it. We won the contract. Derek got a $10,000 bonus. In the email announcing the win, my name wasn't mentioned once. I went home that night and cried from frustration. Then I opened my laptop and saved every email, every Slack message, every version of the presentation showing I'd created it. I was building something. I didn't know exactly what yet, but I knew I'd need evidence. October got worse. Derek's comments became more frequent, more personal. He started mocking my clothes, saying I dressed like a youth pastor from Indiana. He'd comment on my lunch, asking if I'd brought it straight from the Cracker Barrel. He'd interrupt me in meetings to translate what I was saying into language that sophisticated clients would understand. That's when I bought the recording device. A pen that records audio and video. $35 on Amazon. I started wearing it every day, clipped to my jacket. But I was strategic. I didn't record everything. Just the moments when I knew Derek would show his true self. Client meetings, team sessions, moments when he was comfortable enough to be cruel. I recorded him stealing my ideas in a client presentation, then taking credit when the client praised the strategy. I recorded him telling a new employee that I was still learning the basics of urban marketing. I recorded him at the office happy hour saying I needed to invest in myself and get some style because I looked like I was going to a high school dance in rural Indiana. By November, I had hours of recordings. I had a database of written incidents. I had email trails, Slack messages, presentation files. But I still didn't use any of it, because I was waiting for Derek to hang himself, and I knew he would. December brought Derek's promotion announcement. The email from our CEO made me physically sick. I'm pleased to announce Derek Mitchell's promotion to Vice President of Client Services. Derek exemplifies our values of leadership, excellence, and client dedication. My coworkers congratulated him. He gave a speech about building a high-performance team and maintaining standards. He looked right at me when he said standards. That night, I started job hunting, updated my resume, reached out to recruiters. But I also made a decision. I wasn't leaving until Derek paid for what he'd done. January 2024, I set my trap. I spent 3 weeks developing the most comprehensive strategy I'd ever created for our biggest client, a national retail chain. Consumer behavior research, digital transformation plans, projected revenue increases. It was brilliant work, and I made sure Derek knew about it. I sent him drafts asking for his feedback. I let him think he was mentoring me. I scheduled a presentation for February 8th, Thursday afternoon, strategy session, 12 people in the conference room, and I made absolutely sure my phone was fully charged, positioned perfectly in my jacket pocket, recording everything. I knew Derek couldn't resist. He'd take credit. He always did. But I didn't expect what actually happened. February 8th, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 colleagues around the conference table. I started presenting my 3 weeks of research. I got exactly 2 minutes in before Derek stood up. "Ryan, I need to stop you right there," Derek said, walking to the front of the room. "This is painful to watch." My heart started pounding. This was it. "I'm not finished presenting," I said, making sure my voice was clear for the recording. "Yes, you are," Derek said. He walked over to where I was standing and picked up my presentation. 47 pages, printed and bound, sitting on the table. He held it up so everyone could see. "This is what happens when someone doesn't understand real markets," Derek told the room. "This is amateur work from someone who doesn't get sophisticated urban consumers." Then he did it. He crumpled the entire presentation in his hands, every page, 3 weeks of work, and threw it in the trash can next to the table. "Strategic thinking isn't for people like you, Ryan," Derek said, looking directly at me. "You should stick to data entry, basic execution work, the simple stuff. Leave strategy to people who actually understand real cities and real consumers. Your small-town perspective just doesn't cut it here." The room was completely silent. I could hear someone breathing heavily. No one spoke. "That was 3 weeks of work," I said, my voice shaking but loud enough for the recording. "And it was 3 weeks wasted on fundamentally flawed thinking," Derek replied. "I don't know how much clearer I can be. You're not cut out for strategic work. You're a small-town guy trying to play in the big leagues. Accept your limitations." Perfect. Every word captured perfectly. "You're right," I said quietly. "I should know my limitations." I walked out. Derek took over the presentation, rephrased all my research as his own brilliant insights, and got applause from everyone in the room. I went straight to my apartment and didn't sleep that night. I spent 8 hours editing 6 months of recordings into a single 8-minute video. Every theft, Every humiliation, every cruel comment, chronologically organized, time-stamped, captioned for clarity. The opening was Derek's promotion announcement playing over inspirational music. Derek exemplifies our values of leadership and excellence. Then it cut to reality. Derek stealing my automotive presentation. Derek mocking my appearance. Derek telling people I didn't understand real cities. Derek interrupting me, dismissing me, humiliating me again and again and again. The finale was February 8th. Derek crumpling 3 weeks of my work and throwing it away. Strategic thinking isn't for people like you. Fade to black. Final text. This is Derek Mitchell, VP of Client Services at Harrison Marketing. This is who they promote. I posted it on LinkedIn at midnight on February 15th with a caption. I spent 6 months documenting systematic workplace harassment by a VP who got promoted despite HR complaints. This is my evidence. Companies, this is who you reward. I tagged Harrison Marketing. I tagged Derek Mitchell. I tagged our CEZO. Then I shut my laptop and tried to sleep. I woke up 5 hours later to 4,000 notifications. The video had 800,000 views. By noon Friday, it had 2.5 million views. By Saturday, it hit 5 million. The comments were overwhelming. Thousands of people sharing their own stories. News outlets picking it up. Viral video exposes VP's harassment. LinkedIn video sparks corporate accountability and debate. Small-town employees' revenge goes viral. Monday morning, I got the call from James Harrison, our CEO. We need you in the office immediately. I thought I was being fired. Instead, I walked into a room with James, our CFO, our head of legal, and 2 outside attorneys. Derek Mitchell was terminated on Sunday, James said. Jennifer from HR was terminated for mishandling your complaints. We're conducting a complete investigation, and we're promoting you to senior account manager with a 25% raise. I couldn't speak. I just nodded. That afternoon, Derek called me. His voice was destroyed. "Ryan, please!" Derek begged. "Take down the video. I've lost everything. Nobody will hire me. The video is everywhere. I'm blacklisted. I have 2 kids, Ryan. A mortgage. Please!" "You should have thought about them before you spent 6 months harassing me," I said calmly. "I made mistakes." Derek started. "You made choices," I interrupted. "You chose to steal my work. You chose to humiliate me publicly. You chose to ignore me when I asked you to stop. You had 6 months to be a decent person. You chose not to. Now, you live with the consequences." "You're destroying my life," Derek shouted. "No, Derek," I said. "I'm documenting your behavior. You destroyed your own life. I just hit record." I hung up. 2 weeks later, I accepted a director position at Chicago's top marketing agency, $190,000 salary, the exact job Derek said I'd never be sophisticated enough to do. The video has 10 million views now. Derek's working in sales at a call center, making $35,000 a year. He'll never work in marketing again. And I don't feel guilty. Not for 1 second. Here's what I learned. If someone is harassing you at work, don't just complain. Build an airtight case. Document everything with dates, times, witnesses, and recordings where legal. Because HR protects the company, not you, and your word alone will never be enough against a high performer. Derek made the company money, so they ignored my complaints. Only when video evidence threatened their reputation did they act. Build your case like you're going to court, because sometimes you have to. And here's the final lesson, the one Derek learned too late. Never push someone so far that they have nothing left to lose. When you corner someone, humiliate them daily, and steal their dignity, you force them to choose between disappearing quietly or fighting back publicly. Derek thought I was weak. He thought I'd quit or just take the abuse forever. But he pushed too hard for too long and left me with no other option but to expose him. When you systematically destroy someone and give them no path to justice through proper channels, you create an enemy who will find their own path. Don't back people into corners where their only choice is to fight, because when they do, they'll fight with everything they have. The video has 10 million views now. It'll stay up forever. And every time someone searches Derek Mitchell's name, they'll see exactly what happens when you push the wrong person too far. Before you leave, honest question. If you were in that conference room, would you have defended Ryan or stayed silent? Drop your answer in the comments. If this story had you hooked, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of patience, planning, and perfect revenge. See you in the next one.